But we got some wrestling to talk to on tonight's show. One of them off the wrestling ring, if you will. Um, this story is a weird one because Netflix has reportedly spent $83 billion to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. Yet now Paramount Plus is trying to come in and say that Netflix's offer is illegal and they have a better offer. But it is very unclear right now what's going to happen to TNT, what's going to happen to TBS. And we have the question on here of what it means for AEW in the wrestling business, but it really applies to TNT and TBS Sports as well for our business.
Yeah. So as far as I know, I don't have a lot of details on this, so you'll have to forgive me because, like you said, it's very confusing and it's been hard to follow. But as I understand it, TBS and TNT would still be around, and if Netflix is the one that ends up purchasing Warner Brothers, I think it would be more so a thing of how AEW is streamed on their secondary platform with HBO Max. I don't think the broadcasting of Dynamite or Collision would be affected on TV.
From what I understand, you are correct. Here's the issue, in my opinion. Netflix has already came out and said, oh my God, no, we're not going to touch HBO Max. We're going to enhance HBO Max. It's going to be great. We're going to pair it with Netflix. Why would they have two streaming services? They're just talking out of their ass to get this deal done the way most companies do. It's the same thing TKO said when they bought WWE with UFC. Remember what they said? They're going to be two separate entities. We're not going to touch either one of them. Yeah. I think they lied like most companies do. And I think that, yes, TBS and TNT will still be a thing. AEW will still be broadcasted on there. The MLB playoffs will still be broadcast on TBS, the NHL on TBS and TNT, and so on. But AEW has relationships with Amazon Prime, which is maybe where the pay-per-views will go. But for Netflix to say that HBO Max is still going to be a thing to me is a lie. And that's the bigger story is, what is Netflix going to do? Do they have any interest in TBS or TNT? Or are they just going to let it go off? Or are they going to sell it to new owners? And then if they do that, who's going to say those new owners have any interest in professional wrestling?
Right. And if it goes the route you're talking about, well, Netflix is already broadcasting Monday Night Raw. So how would that work if they absorb HBO Max, which is AEW's secondary platform?
Yeah, they would have to do a buyout or something. I know that the rights for HBO Max last until 2027, but they have exclusivity to the rights with Raw as a part of that deal. Maybe, I don't know, maybe WWE won't have a deal anymore with Peacock. Maybe AEW could try them. I think that the AEW library is going to end up somewhere on Amazon Prime. I don't think I would be concerned right now for you, Josh, as an AEW fan. I think it's going to last on TBS for 2027. But after that, we don't know. And the other thing that no one's talking about is because, again, Tony Khan has not disclosed this. There have been rumors out there for multiple years that Warner Brothers has a stake in AEW. If that's the case, that also explains why Tony Khan has not relatively shopped around Dynamite and Collision to other networks, which would make this a problem.
Yes. And do you remember there were those rumors for a little while that AEW was going to have a third show on Fox called Shockwave, but that never really went anywhere. And it could be because of what you just mentioned.
Here's the other thing I learned this past week. When Tony Khan was trying to find a network for Dynamite back in 2019, do you know how they ended up at landing at Warner Brothers Discovery?
I don't.
He was at the Jaguars game, and there was the person who owned the Warner Brothers Media Network at the time, who was in charge of programming there, and he met him and he started talking to him and basically explained to him that the last time wrestling was on TNT was WCW, and that's when they were at their highest and gave Vince the competition. And the guy said, "Okay, let's try this out." And there you go. I mean, that's all it was. He had no knowledge of wrestling. He met Tony. He said, "Tony, you're a good guy. Here, you want your program on my television? I'm looking for cheap programming. Here you go."
I'm a little surprised that with Tony Khan being a partial owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, he hasn't tried to go to CBS for AEW.
Well,
Honestly,
maybe he can't now because TKO is in bed with Paramount in the UFC.
which
Which,
as a UFC as a
right.
UFC fan, I love that. I have not been able to watch UFC pay-per-views in a long time, which is so annoying because I I really enjoy watching them. Um, and it's not because it's two people beating each other up. It's because of how many different styles there are of fighters, and there's great matchups. And I'm like, I want to watch that. But Dana White, I'm not paying $80 for a pay per view on top of my ESPN Plus subscription. So thank you for getting rid of pay per views. Thank you for moving to CBS. If that means I have to get Paramount Plus, okay, I will. And the other great thing is, main cards for UFC are going to start an hour earlier at 9. So instead of, events ending at 1 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., they might end closer to like midnight, which is great.
Which I've always said that's great. It's important. I think it's the right move for UFC. But then if this goes through and Paramount's making a deal for Warner Brothers, reportedly they want control of TNT and TBS, that may be better or it may be worse for AEW and that library of sports as a whole. We don't know what this means at all.
I would think that would actually be better for AEW because, again, the Paramount already broadcasts the NFL, and Tony Khan is involved with the NFL through the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's a good point. But Netflix is also now involved in the NFL. They have the Christmas Day package.
That part is true, yes, but CBS has, or I should say Paramount, has a more established relationship with the NFL. That's why they're part of the rotation of the Super Bowl.
That's true. But I'm here to tell you, and this is what I've told everybody. It's sad to say, but I think by 2030, I don't know if there's going to be broadcast television anymore. Because I think the A package for the NFL is actually going to go to Netflix and Amazon Prime, and I think it's going to kill broadcast television. That is my ultimate prediction.
You very well could be right.